Oh yeah, it's space weather. We got 20 tabs open, so no screwing around. Here's looking at the sun at 193 angstroms. We got this long coronal hole rolling in. It's like 25 Earth diameters in length. And it did magnetically connect to the Earth yesterday for several hours. And there was a large series of earthquakes right in the warning zone there at Ecuador. There was a 7.7. Hopefully not too much destruction there. And here looking at the magnetic lines in 171 angstroms. The corona hole looks a little bit uninspired there. And here's the view in 94 angstroms. The fact that you can see that coronal hole means it's very defined. And we would not be surprised if we saw further magnetic connections as we did yesterday at the time those earthquakes struck. Heading to spaceweathernews.com for a little more data. We see only some tiny perturbations there in the X-ray flux. Now, regarding the solar wind, we do see a phi angle. We recently saw a signal here just a few hours into today. And we see the solar wind density is now at about, looks like it's about 7 protons per cubic centimeter. And the solar wind speed is around 400 kilometers per second. Magnetometer is still looking smooth. KP index back to 0. We did issue a cosmic ray human health alert yesterday. Electron flux not as tanked as it was yesterday or the day before. Expecting that to look pretty normal here. No charging hazards. And the F2 layer is looking pretty charged on the sun portion. Not exceedingly discharged over South America like it was yesterday. And there's the aurora forecast, both looking kind of weak. Here's the Gong 2. This data 1 hour 44 minutes old. We see a recent crossing of the heliospheric current sheet there. And relatively smooth sailing ahead. Look at the last frame here. So we're only expecting a small magnetometer spike in this area. Nothing noteworthy there particularly. Let's look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, where we will find the Enlil prediction. So we're not expecting any large ramp-ups in the solar wind until the 27th. It looks like a pretty serious wind coming in that day. Starting out with a density spike around midnight, and then as the density drops down, an uptick in the solar wind speed again on the 27th. Here's your total electron content forecast. This does affect things like GPS accuracy, as well as satellite charging hazards. And let's take a look at the earthquake situation here, globalincidentmap.com. Again, we said yesterday there were some 7 magnitude quakes right in our watch zone there. And those large quakes, while they did end the 7 magnitude earthquake drought, these areas remain on alert. Because we expect to see more. Going back the last 12 hours, we see a 5.5 in the South Mid-Atlantic Ridge, something which used to be a rare quake, and now we're seeing that pretty regularly. 4.4 in Russia, 4.2 in Greece. a 4.1 at 500 kilometers depth in Indonesia. Regular viewers are aware that deep quakes tend to lead to shallower, larger magnitude quakes at the surface. Alaska 4.1, Philippines a 4.9, another 4.4 in Alaska, 4.6 in Japan, and a 4.4 in Japan. So really, we still are experiencing a lull in 6 and 7 magnitude quakes. So if you're in an earthquake-prone area, have a plan, bug-out bag, etc. Just knowing is more preparation than nothing. Do a volcano rundown here. Karimsky, producing an 8,000-foot plume. Shivaluch, 12,000-foot plume there. Dakona with a 6,000-foot volcanic ash plume, Fuego. Volcanic ash seen at satellite. Revenador, same deal. Sabancaya, no volcanic ash detectable. And Planchon Peteroa with a 15,000-foot ash plume. And let's look at some geospace magnetosphere movies here. We're expecting these to look pretty weak. Here's the velocity. You see some variation in the solar wind coming in there from the left portion of the screen. And we do see some low velocity zones on the south portion on the meridional plane there. And near the magnetotail on the equatorial plane. Quite low velocity back there, just south of the magnetotail. Here's the density. Plasmasphere around the Earth is at a very low density right now, as you can see in the video. And you can see some varying densities coming in from the solar wind there as well. And the pressure looking pretty weak, as we would expect. Next, we've got geospace ground magnetic perturbations. First over the poles. Not a whole lot going on there. And here's the globe view. Not a lot of perturbations happening. Moving on to greener pastures, but not greener New Deals or anything else moronic. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still at 71. Yes, above predictions. Let's go a little farther away to Galaxy Zoo at zooniverse.org. We'll go so far that we'll be like Hubble Deep Field View far away. Set yourself up a login. Help us do some astronomy by classifying galaxies. This is real science, folks. We need visual analysis because computers can't do this. We got an interesting looking one here. Check it out. It's got some features. And this is how it's done. Is it an edge on disk? No, it's something else. If you need help, by the way, you can click that like I did. This site will guide you right through the process, and you could even get published in an astronomy journal. Now, we see a bunch of stuff going on there. Is there a bar? I don't think there's a bar. We're going to say no bar. Is there a sign of a spiral arm pattern? Well, there sure is. How tightly wound? I'm going to say loosely wound. Because this one is somewhere in between an elliptical and a spiral, folks. Now, how many arms? I can really only see 2 there for sure. So we're going to say 2. Is there a bulge? Well, there certainly is. I think a moderate. Is there a disturbance? Not really. And do we see any unusual features? Can't say that I do. Anyway, that galaxy classified. Who's going to get this one? Will it be you? Zooniverse.org's Galaxy Zoo, one of the largest citizen science projects in the world. Next, we'll go to extremetech.com. Virgin Galactic is getting ready to fly you into space if you can afford it. They keep inching closer and closer to making their commercial spaceflight a reality. They've reached their highest altitude yet of 55.87 miles. So, different organizations have different definitions of where space is. We'll leave links to the article. The estimated price is going to be $250,000 per seat. So have yourself a read if you're thinking about going into space with Virgin Galactic. ScienceAlert.com. 14-year-old kid has reportedly become the youngest person to achieve nuclear fusion. Jackson Oswalt. Jackson blah blah blah. Jackson Oswalt created fusion. Oh yeah. Combined 2 atoms of deuterium gas, successfully fusing the nuclei in his reactor's plasma core. Check it out. Anyway, well done, Jackson. We salute you. And we'll leave links to the article. Turns out, according to phys.org, apps send intimate user data to Facebook. Oh yeah, the social network. Why is it free? Because it spies on you, even when you're not using it. A Wall Street Journal investigation found mobile apps may share sensitive personal data with Facebook, even if they are not members of the social network. Oh yeah, that's right. You buy a phone, Facebook's installed, it spies on you, even if you're not a member of the site. Well done. Information collected could include body weight, pregnancy status, ovulation, and home shopping. Great. Well done, Facebook. Thanks for mining our data. We'll leave links to this article also. By the way, there is an alternative to social media. An alternative social media, that is. How about minds.com? We got a page over there. Yeah, that's right. Minds.com/smAsho. We've only got 687 subscribers, but we got 415,000 views there. I guess they think my profile is only 86% complete. In any case, Minds.com, designed the same way DuckDuckGo.com is designed as a search engine, not to spy on you. Also, Minds.com won't censor you either. So head to minds.com/mashomash, as we do occasionally put up additional content there. Here's a math equation. Put 10,000 people in a room. Add this person, Bernie Sanders, who's running for president again, and you'll be able to calculate the stupidest person in the room. I'll leave it up to you to guess how. Now, we thought Bernie couldn't run as a Democrat. I'm not exactly sure what the status of this is because I don't really care. But I thought the Democratic National Committee figured out a way to prevent him from running for the Democrat Party. I don't quite understand what the deal is. I thought he had to be a Democrat registered a year before or whatever. So here's an article where Sanders has pushed for a $15 per hour minimum wage. You know how that worked out really well in California? I mean, California instituted $15 minimum wages in some places where McDonald's instantly fired people and installed automated kiosks. So, just so you know, the real minimum wage is 0. So, yeah, let's go over some quotes on some custom memes from this foolish, stupid man. Now, Uncle Bernie's got a lot of idiotic ideas, and we're going to take a moment to go over some of them. One other note is we would like the outhouse known as the Bernie Sanders School of Economics to be refitted as per Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's New Green Deal, because it's cold and damp and dark inside the Bernie Sanders School of Economics. And they're not giving out degrees or teaching economics, that's for sure. For those of you interested in immigration, Bernie's stance on immigration, being the career politician that he is, trying to expand his voter base by importing illegal aliens, he doesn't care about your voting. He doesn't care about families of illegal immigrants. He cares about purchasing votes with his promises to expand on Obama's illegal executive amnesty and refusal to enforce the laws. When Bernie ran in 2016, we suggested that he retire, make a wise decision, and get out of politics and out of everybody's ears, because all he does is talk a bunch of nonsense, and he would like resources allocated even worse than they already are. So, hey Bernie, since your ideas are more stale than Lenin's suit, go away. Let's go over 3 of Bernie's idiotic quotes. First of all, on immigration,
I will not wait for Congress to act. I will take executive action to accomplish what Congress has failed to do and build upon President Obama's executive orders.
That's right. He's going to give everybody amnesty through executive action if he's elected, folks. Yeah. There's already illegal aliens voting in various states such as Texas and Pennsylvania. Bernie wants to expand that. Great idea, Bernie. Let's go over a quote from me. Reasoning. Try reasoning with Bernie Sanders. You might as well be reasoning with a dog's ass, because all you're going to find is shit. Here's a quote showing that Bernie doesn't understand what the Federal Reserve is or does.
Unfortunately, an institution that was created to serve all Americans has been hijacked by the very bankers it regulates.
Hey, Bernie, the Fed regulates the government. The government doesn't regulate the Fed, you idiot. Sell your house in D.C., go to Vermont, hide in a cave. Return to the pond scum from which you slithered. And lastly, my favorite quote from Bernie ever. Now, we made these in 2016 when he ran the last time, so we've been saying this for 3 years already.
At the end of the day, you don't necessarily need a choice of 23 underarm spray deodorants or of 18 different pairs of sneakers when children are hungry in this country. Because everybody knows that with so many choices of sneakers and underarm deodorants, children are starving now. I mean, the local mall near where I live, kids were doing just fine, and then they installed a Foot Locker, and now those kids are wasting away. All right, enough of that depressing crap, because we know some people are going to vote for this idiot. Bernie, you are a 1%er, you cretin. Here's another phys.org article, an exoplanet with an 11-hour orbit. Check it out. It's a hot Earth. So yeah, we'll leave links to that article also. Next, let's rot our brains with random-eyes.com. You want to pick a random website? Well, there's a lot of sites that'll pick a random website for you. But we're going to use this one. Now, you dare me to push the button? Because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Don't think I won't. And it sent us to trumpdonald.org. All right. That's odd. All right. I don't really quite understand what this is about.
but it's something to do with this trumpet. I guess you can move it around. I don't understand it. And admittedly, that's pretty random.
Now we come back to look at the sun here in 171 angstroms, since the 1% put up these expensive satellites while children are hungry in this country. If you go to some beautiful place like a subway station in 1988 Soviet Russia, you will see beautiful artworks and chandeliers, indicating that it's a very efficient system over there. I mean, we got journalists here in the US talking about how bread lines are bad. That's a good thing. As opposed to only the rich getting the food.
Remember, when you're exposing the buffoonery of complete morons, don't drink. And if you drink, expose the buffoonery of complete morons and don't drive.